Welcome to the Lectric Service Center. Today, we'll be showing you how to unbox, set up, and go on your first ride on your brand new Lectric XP Trike2. A quick note, there are many different colors and 2 different motor styles on the XP Trike2, but the unboxing process will be exactly the same no matter which version of the Trike2 you are unboxing. Before we begin the unboxing process, you'll need to make sure you have some tools ready to go. You'll need a large and a small torque wrench, a 4mm hex socket, an 8mm hex socket, a 4mm hex wrench, a 2.5mm hex wrench, a box cutter or other sharp object, a pair of flush cutters or scissors, a 14mm box wrench, a Phillips head screwdriver, a tire pump, isopropyl alcohol, and shop rags. That's a lot of tools, but don't worry, we will make sure to remind you of what tools you'll need for each section as we are moving along the process. In box, the trike is a bit heavy. We highly recommend using the help of a friend to help you carry the box where you will be unboxing it. On the sides of the trike box, there are cutout slots for your hands to make carrying a little bit easier. Make sure wherever you are unboxing the trike, you have enough room. Lectric uses a bloom-style box for the XP Trike2 to make the unboxing process as easy as possible. When the box is fully open, it will lay roughly 8 feet by 12 feet. For this section, you will need a box cutter or sharp object. Along the top perimeter of the box, there is packing tape that will need to be cut with a box cutter or other sharp object. On the front of the box, there are 2 tabs that will need to be pulled out in order to lift the top flap of the box. Pull those tabs out. Once the tabs have been pulled out, you can pull the top flap of the box up. Be careful when pulling this flap up though, as there will be staples holding it down. On the flap right below, there are 2 QR codes. When you scan the QR code on the left, you'll be taken to the video that you are watching right now. When you scan the QR code on the right, you'll be taken to the owner's manual. Now, on the opposite side of the box, on both sides, there is tape and 2 tabs. Cut the tape down the side of the box and the tape on the tabs. Then remove the tabs to continue opening the bloom box. Make sure to do this on both sides of the box. There is one more strip of tape along the bottom sides of the box. Use a box cutter or sharp object to cut along the tape to fully free the bloom style box. Now that all the sides are free of tape, you can pull the sides of the box outwards. Then, let the front of the box fall. Before we completely open the bloom style box, it is important to take note of some of the smaller boxes that are within the trike box. Some of these boxes are simply packing material, and some of these boxes have important components for the trike in them. Along with those boxes, on the back side of the trike, there's a stabilizing chock, your rear fenders, and the front wheel. Let's remove some of these boxes and items so they don't fall out when you are completing the bloom style box opening. The long box laying atop the trike in the center of the trike box is the front fender. Remove this and set it aside. The next box is sitting atop the folding latch of the trike. This has components for the trike inside of it. Remove this box and set it aside. In the back of the box, there's a triangle-shaped stabilizing chock. Remove this and throw it away. Finally, pull the rear fenders out from the back of the box and set it aside. Finally, the front wheel is tied to the frame of the trike, so we will remove that in a moment. To fully open the bloom style box, you'll have to very slightly lift the front and back sides of the trike in order to free the bottom flaps. For this, we highly recommend using a friend to help lift the trike. For the first side of the trike, have a friend grab the frame where the seat stays meet with the seat tube. Have your friend lift the trike slightly while you pull the bottom flap out. Then, on the other side, have your friend grab the rear bar of the rear rack and lift slightly while you pull the bottom flap out. At this time, if you have not already, you can grab the saddle that is sitting on the ground and set it aside for now. Then, on the back side of the trike, the front wheel is tied to the frame. Untie the wheel and pull it from the trike. On the brake rotor, there's a plastic disc. This is on the rotor to protect it during the shipping process. You can pull this from the brake rotor and throw it away. A quick note, on either side of the wheel hub, there is an end cap. This end cap is required in order to install the wheel. Check to make sure that there is an end cap on both sides of the hub. If the end cap is missing or has been pushed into the hub, please contact our customer support team before moving on with the unboxing process. Next, you will want to unfold the trike. Before you can do that, you will want to install the handlebars. This will make the unfolding process a little bit easier. First, unwrap the folding handlebar stem. Once it's unwrapped, you can unfold it into place. Once it is unfolded into place, close the handlebar stem latch by pressing it with the palm of your hand. You will know the handlebar stem is locked into place when you hear a click and you cannot fold the stem. Now, pull the handlebars from the back of the trike. You can remove the packing boxes, but we recommend keeping the packing material attached for now. Find the flat side of the telescoping handlebar stem and line it up with the flat part of the folding handlebar stem. Then, slide the telescoping handlebar stem into the folding handlebar stem and lock it into place. Don't worry about sizing up the handlebars just yet. We will go over that later in the video. Now that the handlebars have been installed, you can go ahead and remove the rest of the packing material from around the bike. Most of the packing material is held on by tape, so you should be able to remove it by hand. However, there are a few pieces of packing material that are held on to the trike with zip ties. You'll need a sharp object to cut those pieces of packing material off. Once you get to unpacking the handlebars, you might notice that there's some stuff attached to them. There's some tags and a set of keys. You can leave the keys for now, but right now, we'll go over what those tags are. The large tag is safety information you should familiarize yourself with and refer to before each ride. And the smaller tag has a QR code on it. When the QR code is scanned, it'll take you to the terms of purchase. Once you have familiarized yourself with the information on these tags, you can go ahead and remove them. We recommend keeping these should you ever need a refresher in the future. Let's move on with the unboxing process by unfolding your trike. When folding and unfolding your trike, we once again recommend getting the help of a friend. Have your friend lift the front of the trike while you swing the frame closed. On the drive side of the trike, there is a frame latch. Once the two sides of the frame come in contact with each other, press the frame latch down, locking the frame in the unfolded position. You will know the frame latch is locked into place when you hear a click, and you can no longer fold the frame. If you ever would like to unfold your trike, simply press the trigger on the frame latch, then pull the frame latch outwards. Once that's unlocked, you can unfold your trike. And for further size reduction when moving or storing your trike, you can fold the handlebar stem down. Simply press up on the trigger and pull the latch outward. This will allow the handlebars to be folded downwards. For this section, you'll need a 4mm hex wrench. It is important to install the front fenders before installing the front wheel, as installing the front wheel first will result in difficulty when installing the front fender. Inside of the long box that you pulled out of the trike box earlier is the front fender. Open that box and pull the fender out. Down on the back side of the front fork, there are 4 mounting points with 4 mounting screws. Unscrew those 4 mounting bolts with a 4mm hex wrench. Now, unwrap the front fender. Once unwrapped, slide the fender through the front fork fender stays first. You will know you have the fender oriented correctly because the light will be facing towards the front of the bike. Once you have the fender within the fork, line the 2 mounting tabs up with the top mounting points on the back of the fork, and then line the 2 loops on the fender stays up with the bottom mounting points on the back of the fork. We find it easy to loosely insert all 4 screws, then tighten them down all the way. When the fender is installed, you'll need to plug the headlight in. Find the cable coming from the headlight and the cable coming from the lower part of the cable housing, near the head tube. You'll know it is the right cable by its red quick plug. Plug in the 2 quick plugs by pushing them straight together. You'll know the quick plugs are fully plugged in when you can no longer see the red from the inside. The front wheel of the trike is held on with a through axle, making wheel installation and removal a breeze. To install the front wheel, you must first remove the through axle. On the through axle, there is a cutout notch that the lever sits in order to unscrew the through axle. Find this cutout notch, place the lever into it, then turn the through axle counterclockwise until you are able to pull the through axle out. Next, inside the brake caliper, there's a brake shim. This needs to be removed before installing the front wheel. If you do not remove it, you risk damaging the brake rotor or brake caliper. Simply pull the brake shim from the caliper. We recommend keeping this brake shim in case you ever want to remove your front wheel in the future. We recommend installing the front wheel with a friend. You can let them go after this step though, we promise. Have your friend lift the front of the trike so that the fork dropouts are roughly at the height of the wheel hub. Making sure that the brake rotor is on the non-drive side of the trike, roll the wheel into the fork until the hub lines up with the fork dropouts. Once the hub is fully seated into the dropouts, push the through axle back through the fork and hub, making sure the lever is on the drive side of the trike. Place the lever in the cutout notch, and rotate the through axle clockwise until it is fully installed. When the through axle is fully installed, if the levers are not parallel to the fork, pull the lever out and twist it to be parallel. If the lever is not parallel with the fork, it might get caught on something when you are riding your trike, causing damage to the through axle. While you are down here, you can go ahead and remove the plastic disc from the frame stand. This disc is here to protect the frame during the shipping process, and it can be thrown away. Now that we've made it this far, it's time to finally get rid of the bloom box. Before we continue, on the front of the head tube, there is a serial number stamped into it. We recommend writing this down in case you ever need to contact our customer support team. We also recommend using this serial number to register your bike onto bikeindex.org in the case that your bike is ever lost or stolen. For this section, you will need an air pump. Right now, you will notice that your tires are looking a little bit flat. This is because Lectric sends its tires deflated in order to reduce the shipping size. On the sidewall of your tire, you will find the recommended PSI. Make sure to consult that before filling up your tire. The recommended PSI for the Lectric 20x3 tires is between 30 and 65 PSI. Today, we will be filling our tires up to 35 PSI. Find the air valve and unscrew the valve cap. Place the air pump valve on the tire valve and begin to fill the tire with air. While you are filling the tire with air, keep an eye on the bead of the tire, or where the tire meets the rim, to make sure that the tire stays seated. If the bead unseats, stop, let out the air from the tire, reseat the bead, and begin the process again. Once you have filled the tire to the recommended PSI, remove the tire pump and replace the tire's valve cap. Repeat this process on the other 2 tires. Your seat post and saddle are wrapped in plastic and cardboard. Go ahead and remove all the packing material. Once your saddle and seat post have been unpacked, find the seat post collar lock and open up the lever. Slide the seat post into the seat tube. Once the seat post is fully inserted into the seat tube, close the collar lock lever. Don't worry about sizing up your saddle, as we'll be going over that later in the video. For this section, you'll need a 4mm hex wrench and a sharp object. To avoid any damage to the fenders during the shipping process, Lectric sends the XP Trike2 with the rear fenders uninstalled, but to install the rear fenders is a very simple process. First, unpackage the fenders. Now, down on the trike, on either side of the rear axle, there are two 4mm mounting hex bolts. Using a 4mm hex wrench, unscrew and remove those bolts. Make sure to remove them on both sides. Now, line up the mounting tab to the mounting points on the rear axle. You can easily tell which fender is to be installed on which side because the rear reflector on the fender will be facing the rear of the bike. Once you get the mounting tab lined up to the mounting point, use a 4mm hex wrench to screw the bolts back in. Do this on both sides of the trike. Let's get your battery on the charger so that it is charged up and ready to go for your first ride. On your handlebars, there's a set of keys. These are the keys that you'll need to remove the battery from the XP Trike2. Remove these keys from the handlebars. On the non-dry side of the battery, there is a key cylinder. Insert your key and turn it clockwise. This will release the battery, at which point you can pull it out of the frame of the trike. Place your hand on the bottom of the battery to help boost it out of the lock position. Then, pull the battery completely out of the frame. Now, when you open the charger box, you will see two parts to the charger box and the charging cable. Take the charger box out of the plastic. The cable connected to the charger box is the cable that will plug into the battery, and the other cable is the cable that will plug into a wall outlet. Plug the wall outlet cable into the charger box. Now, on the opposite side of the key cylinder is the charging port on the battery. Undo the rubber cap covering the charging port. Then, plug the charger into the charging port. Next, plug the charger into a wall outlet. On the charger box, the LED light will turn green, then quickly turn red. This means that the battery is charging. Once the battery is fully charged, the LED light will turn back to green. Lectric sends its batteries half charged, but we recommend charging your battery to full before going on your first ride. When the battery is plugged into the charger, a dead battery can take between 4 and 9 hours to charge back to full. Alternatively, if you would like, you can charge the battery while it is still inserted into the trike. Simply open the charging port while the battery is installed on the trike. Then, plug the charger into the battery. Then, plug the charger into a wall outlet. Let's let the battery charge up while we set up the rest of the XP Trike2. For this section, you will need a sharp object. The keen-eyed rider might notice that there is no display on this trike. Lectric ships the XP Trike2 without the display attached. This is for protection during the shipping process. In one of the smaller boxes that you pull out of the trike box, there's a bag of replacement parts, and a smaller box containing the display. Go ahead and open the display box. Then, remove the packing material. on the handlebars, you'll see the display mounting bracket. If it is rotated towards the front of the handlebars, simply rotate it so that it is facing upwards. On the back of the display, there is a raised portion on either side of the base. These are used to guide the display into place and lock it. The two raised portions will slide into the cutout notches on the display mounting bracket. Slide the display onto the display mounting bracket. Apply some pressure to lock it into place. You will know it is locked into place when you hear a click. Do not apply too much pressure though, as it may cause damage to the display. On the back side of the handlebars, there is a number of colored cables. These will all need to be plugged in to their corresponding quick plugs. The cable with the black quick plug plugs into the other black quick plug from the button pad. Plug this cable in. The cable with the green quick plug is the display cable and will plug into the other green quick plug coming from the wiring harness. Plug this cable in. The cable with the red quick plug is the brake inhibitor cable and will plug into the other red quick plug coming from the wiring harness. The cable with the orange quick plug is the throttle cable and will plug into the other orange quick plug coming from the wiring harness. Plug this cable in. We'll be checking the performance of the brakes later, but first, let's take a moment to familiarize ourselves with the parking brakes. The Lectric XP Trike2 comes equipped with updated parking brakes. These parking brakes can be activated when you are away from your trike to make sure that it does not roll away. The parking brakes are located on the base of each brake lever. To activate the parking brake, turn the blue lever counterclockwise, then pull the brake levers. You will hear the parking brake lock into place. Then, when you remove your hand from the brake lever, the brakes will stay in place. You can do this on both brake levers. To release the parking brakes, twist the blue lever back and pull the brake levers. This will unlock the parking brake. For this section, you'll need a Phillips head screwdriver. A quick note, there is a reflector on the handlebars. This reflector can be shaken loose during the shipping process. If yours is not pointing forward, simply slide it into place, then use a Phillips head screwdriver to tighten it down so that it does not slip out of place again. The reflector should look like this. We'll now go around the trike to perform some safety checks while your battery charges to ensure that your trike is ready to embark on its first ride. First, let's check the latches. At the fold point of the frame, grab onto the latch and pull on it without pressing the trigger. The latch should not come undone. Now, on the folding handlebar stem latch, grab the latch and pull it without pressing the trigger. The latch should not come undone. If either of these latches come undone without pressing the trigger, stop setting up your XP Trike2 and contact our customer support before continuing. For this section, you'll need isopropyl alcohol and shop rags. Grab your brakes and pull the levers. Make sure the levers are not hitting your fingers or the grips when you are pulling on them. Now, pull both brake levers again and attempt to roll the bike back and forth. The wheels should stay put. If the bike moves or the brake levers hit your fingers or grips, you might need to perform a simple brake adjustment. Watch this video on Lectric eBike's YouTube channel to learn how to do that. Now you want to clean your front brake rotor. Down at the brake rotor, spray some isopropyl alcohol on a shop rag and wipe down the entire rotor. This will clean off any debris that might have contaminated the rotor during the shipping process. The rear brake rotor of the trike is protected by a rotor guard, so you will not need to worry about cleaning it. Attempt to pull and twist the saddle. The saddle should not move at all. If the saddle moves or twists, you'll need to tighten the seat post collar lock. Open the seat post collar lock and turn the knob a few turns. Then, close the collar lock. Attempt to pull and twist the saddle again. The saddle should stay put. If the saddle moves again, you'll need to tighten the collar lock a bit more. Continue this process until the saddle no longer moves. Now, you will be performing a similar check on the handlebars. Attempt to pull up the handlebars. They should not move at all. If they move, you'll need to tighten the handlebar stem collar lock and turn the knob a few times. Then close the collar lock. Attempt to pull up the handlebars again. The handlebars should stay put. If the handlebars move, you'll need to tighten the collar lock more. Continue this process until the handlebars no longer move. For this section, you'll need a large torque wrench and an 8mm hex socket, as well as a small torque wrench and a 4mm hex socket. First, we will be checking the torque value of the rear wheels of the trike. On one of the rear wheels, first, remove the dust cap from the hub. Then, using a torque wrench and an 8mm hex socket, make sure the rear wheel axle nut is torqued down to 35 Nm. Then, replace the dust cover. Make sure to check the other wheel as well. Now, let's move up to the handlebars and check the torque value of the brake levers. Using a 4mm hex socket and a small torque wrench, make sure that the nut on both brake lever mounting brackets are torqued down to 5 Nm. The final safety check you will need to perform is simply a visual inspection. Take a good look around the trike. If anything seems missing, off, or out of the ordinary, please contact our customer support team before going on your first ride. For this section, you'll need a 2.5mm hex wrench and a 14mm box wrench. Let's make some adjustments to the components around the bike to ensure a safe and comfortable ride. First, if you would like, you can adjust the angle of your saddle. Using a 14mm box wrench, loosen the bolts on either side of the rails under the saddle. Adjust the saddle to a comfortable position. Then tighten the bolts back down. Now, let's adjust your display. Loosen the two bolts on the back of the mounting brackets with a 2.5mm hex wrench. Adjust the display mounting brackets to a comfortable viewing position. Then tighten these bolts back down. Now, loosen the two bolts on the side of the display. Adjust the display to a comfortable viewing position. Then tighten the bolts back down. Now that we've given the battery some time to charge, we can go ahead and place it back into the trike. Unplug the battery from the charger. Then, back on the trike, slide the battery into the battery plate. You'll know the battery is fully in place when you hear a click. Now, if you would like, you can remove the keys from the battery, as the trike can run without the keys. The only time you'll need your keys again is if you need to remove the battery in the future. A note: on the top of the battery, there is a button that, when pressed, will not only display the battery level, but it will also wake the battery up. The battery will go to sleep after 48 hours of inactivity. If you are unable to turn the trike on, but you know the battery is charged, there's a good chance that your battery has entered sleep mode. It is best practice to press this button every time you ride. Up at the cockpit, we will now take some time to learn about the electronics of the trike. But first, let's peel that plastic dust cover off your display. On the left side of the handlebars, there is a button pad that gives you control of the electronics throughout the bike. On the button pad, there is a power button, a plus and minus button, and two arrow buttons. To turn the bike on, hold the power button for 3 seconds. This will take you to the home page. On your home page, you'll see your battery level at the top. Below that, you will see your current speed, and below that is your pedal assist level. There are two other main screens that display useful information. To access these other screens, tap the power button and you'll be taken to the next page. At the top, your speed will always be displayed. On screen 2, you can find your average speed, your current trip time, your current trip distance, and the odometer. If you tap the power button again, you'll be taken to the next screen. Again, at the top, you'll see your current speed. Below that, you'll see your cadence, your motor power and wattage, your current amperage, and the voltage level of your battery. To return to the main page, press the power button again. From the main pages of the display, you can also access the settings of the bike. Simply hold down the plus and minus buttons simultaneously for 3 seconds, and you'll be taken to a screen with a full list of settings. For all you Lectric fans out there, you know this is a huge upgrade. No more memorizing those settings pages. In the settings menu, you can scroll through the settings using the plus and minus buttons. Once you get to a setting you would like to change, tap the power button when the setting is highlighted. You will then be taken into the setting. Once in the specific setting page, you can change the setting by pressing the plus or minus buttons. Once you have changed the setting to your liking, you can tap the power button again to confirm the setting. Then, to return to the home page, press and hold the plus and minus buttons simultaneously for 3 seconds again. From the button pad, you can also toggle on and off the front and rear lights. Simply press and hold the plus button for 3 seconds. You will know the light has turned on when you see the light icon appear next to your battery level and the screen dims a bit. To turn the lights off, simply press and hold the plus button for 3 seconds. The lights will turn off, the light icon will disappear from the screen, and the screen will brighten back up. Your Lectric XP Trike2 comes equipped with turn signals. To activate the turn signals, press the left or right arrows. To switch the direction of the turn signal, press the opposite side arrow. Finally, to turn the turn signal off, press the directional arrow of whichever turn signal is activated. Your trike also has hazard lights. To activate the hazard lights, press both arrow buttons at the same time, and the hazard lights will begin to blink. To turn the hazard lights off, press the arrow button simultaneously again, and the hazard lights will stop blinking. Your Lectric XP Trike2 also has a brake-actuated rear light. Simply pull either brake lever and the brake light will illuminate. The brake light will illuminate whether your lights are on or off. The Lectric XP Trike2 offers 5 distinct levels of pedal assist and throttle output. The levels of pedal assist are Eco, Tour, Sport, Sport Plus, and Turbo. These levels of pedal assist are designed to match your riding style and desired intensity. Eco delivers the lightest level of assistance, giving you a gentle and comfortable boost, perfect for relaxed cruising. As you move through the pedal assist levels, the power increases progressively, enhancing your ride with each level. Turbo is the most powerful setting, offering maximum assistance for a fast and exhilarating experience. Along with pedal assist, there is also a throttle that will give you power without the need of pedaling. For safety, the throttle will not activate if your pedal assist is off. The throttle will only activate when you are in Eco through Turbo. Now that your Lectric XP Trike2 is unpacked, set up, and ready to ride, we can head outside to embark on your first ride. Outside, we're going to be going over the sizing of your bike, the suspension, and we'll be taking you through your first pedal strokes. Make sure to always use those parking brakes. Let's go ahead and dial in the sizing of your trike to maximize the comfort of your ride. Unlock the Seatpost collar lock and pull the saddle up. Line the top of the saddle with your hip bone. This is best practice for when starting out. However, saddle height is personal preference and can be lowered or heightened depending on your riding style. Once you find a good height for your saddle, you can head back down to the Seatpost collar lock and lock the Seatpost back down. But first, make sure the Seatpost is inserted past the minimum insertion point. Now we will move up to the handlebars. Unlock the handlebar stem collar lock, then slide the telescoping handlebars up. Like saddle height, handlebar height is personal preference. We recommend setting the handlebars at a height that won't result in you leaning too far forward or too far back. Once you find a comfortable position, you can go ahead and lock the handlebar stem collar lock back down. Once again, make sure that the telescoping handlebar stem is inserted past the minimum insertion point. Now, before we head out on your first ride, let's take a second to go over the suspension on your Lectric XP Trike2. The XP Trike2 comes equipped with a Cloud 50 front suspension fork. The Cloud 50 front suspension fork has 50mm of travel to ensure the most comfortable ride for you. Better yet, the Cloud 50 front suspension can be locked out to best fit your riding style. The red dial on the right side of the fork controls the lockout of the fork. When the dial is turned fully counterclockwise, or the dial is facing forward, you will have the full 50mm of travel. If you turn the dial all the way clockwise, or so that the dial is facing towards the back of the bike, the suspension will be locked out. In this setting, you will have 0mm of travel. We prefer to ride using the Cloud 50's full travel, so we keep our dial facing forwards. On the left side is the preload dial. This adjustment adds or decreases tension on the fork spring. The adjustment can be tailored to every rider differently. To make the front end stiffer and harder to compress, turn the dial clockwise. To make the front end softer and easier to compress, turn the dial counterclockwise. The trike will come out of the box with the preload in the lightest setting. Now that you understand how the suspension works, and your trike is adjusted to your liking, we can finally do what you came here for. It's time for your first ride. Of course, before we ride, make sure to put that helmet on. Make sure you wear your helmet every time you ride your Lectric XP Trike2. To mount your trike, lift your leg over the frame of the trike and place that foot on top of the pedal. Place your opposite foot on the opposite pedal. Now, release the parking brakes and start pedaling. Look at that, you're riding your brand new Lectric XP Trike2. We always recommend starting your ride with no pedal assist, then adding some assistance once you get comfortable on the trike. Once you're comfortable, you can add and take away pedal assist to match your ride. Don't forget, you also have that throttle if you need to rest your legs a little bit. Thanks for riding with us today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our customer support team at contact@lectricebikes.com or give us a call at 602-715-0907. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you out there.